What do you call these things?
Oh, McLeod's? Very cool. They got the tools ready.
It's a lot easier to move flags around than earth.
Just a little bit everywhere.
So if you're cutting trail just like that, the whole way down, fine.
Yeah.
Come back and carve it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Constantly getting better at something, improving.
You polish a little bit at a time, you see that that's the section that this is going to turn into, and then you move on from there.
It only takes a few people to like kind of start directing the rest of the people to really help with that.
Like that?
Yeah. All right, out here in where?
We are in the Salmon Falls area. We're gonna do some trail building, aren't we?
Trail building with FATRAC, and these guys definitely know what they're doing. They're gonna give us some education on how to build these trails properly.
Yeah, because last time they just handed me a tool and said dig, and I did a terrible job. So we'll show you guys the trail that we built out here. They're gonna give us an education on how to build today, and then we're gonna get some more digging done. So I'm excited.
Awesome, let's do it.
The track.
Picks.
Yep.
I don't know what you call that. Oh, that's a shovel.
Oh, a shovel.
I'm gonna take a sneak peek. Hope they don't mind. Oh yes. It's everything a trail builder needs right there.
We'll kind of jump right in and we'll do like a 5 or 10 minute safety talk and overview of what we're going to do for the work that particular day. Hopefully some of you guys will develop and become kind of trail work leads and be able to lead the trail work a little bit more and spread that ability out. Ryan and I end up being the leads for almost all the trail work days right now. So what we're going to do is kind of go over what's on this sheet and just get some of the terminology done, some of the things to look for, that kind of thing, and then we're going to walk out this trail that was just built over the last 6 weeks.
Fix all the sections I dug.
Yep,
Totally
everything.
screwed
So,
up.
yeah, so we're going to go back to anything that Joe touched
Yes.
and just say this is
Yeah.
what not to do anymore.
I didn't think you worked at all that day.
No, I filmed everything.
Well, you call it work.
20% work.
80-20 rule?
Yeah.
That's the basic game plan. Don't be shy. Anyone, if you have any questions or thoughts or comments on anything, just speak up and we can talk things over. That was kind of the main purpose of today. Unfortunately, kind of trail building is a little bit new for us since we normally deal with state parks, and that hasn't been a big thing we've been able to do a whole lot recently. So if anyone isn't familiar with ARC, American River Conservancy, they are the ones that are allowing and letting this happen. They run the whole show out here. So if you're not familiar, please become so. Yeah, basic tools that we'll be using today, McLeod's, or there's some narrow ones, we got some wider ones. Pickmatics I'm a big fan of for chunking out dirt, especially in this softer stuff. It's useful. We've got PPE, some gloves and glasses for everybody. Please bring some glasses when you're swinging tools and rocks and stuff. There's shrapnel always coming back at you, and everybody wants to be able to see when they go home tonight. The section we're working on has already got some flags on it, which is how you mark the trail, so we'll kind of look at that stuff and talk it over. There's probably some tweaking and tuning we can do from what I saw the other day, which will be fun. That's when the opinions start to come out. Well, it should go this way. I want it to go that way, yada yada. But we'll talk about that a little bit.
Trail.
Yeah, the main thing all this deals with, and what this mostly boils down to, is water and erosion. Water almost never goes uphill. Very rarely. In fact, basically never. So what most of this is trying to mitigate is water running down and staying on your trail, because eventually, the Grand Canyon is what your trails will turn into, and that's just a whole mess to fix, repair, reroute, yada yada. Rutted, nasty trails can be a lot of fun, but it's not ideal. So if you're looking at like rolling contour trail and grade reversals, what that's trying to accomplish is just giving the trail spots called a grade reversal, where it's always going up and down, because like I said, that water will be forced to get off your trail as soon as it turns uphill. When you're talking about, like Joe mentioned, the slope for trails, it's usually talked about in terms of percentages. So 10% slope would change 10 feet in elevation over 100-foot distance, is how that's calculated. What you're trying to do with that is avoid getting to a point where the trail is so steep that water can't get off it, even with your grade reversals. Like, it'll want to stay on the trail and form a rut. which is what you're looking at in terms of like the half rule, where if your side slope or the main slope is, you know, like they show here, 14%, you want to stay around 7 or less just to avoid things getting out of hand there. You know, IMBA makes these to cover trails of all kinds of soil surface types and, you know, terrains. So that's open to interpretation to some extent, depending on what you're dealing with.
The half rule is actually when you're flagging stuff out, whatever the slope is, or the natural slope, you don't want to build a trail that's more than half of that percentage going up.
That classic omega shape is what that's often referred to, your corner, so you end up with a grade reversal before and after. It's just to make sure the water stays off of it, and like Matt said, because with a corner like that, there is a spot where it's going to be, by definition, has to be fall line, which is basically your apex of most dirt you can see right there. Fall line and side slope are kind of interchangeable in some ways. The easiest way to think about what the fall line is if you were standing on a hill and just dropped the basketball, it's going to go straight down the fall line.
One other thing about the grade reversals, it's kind of a bonus on both ends. One, it makes the trail a bit more interesting, especially for mountain bikers, but also for hikers, instead of just being on your traditional switchback where you're going up at 8 to 10 or 12, whatever percentage they built it at.
Straight zigzag.
X, you know, feet, and then just cut and come back. And sometimes when on really steep areas like in Yosemite Valley, that's almost what you're limited to. But when you've got a little bit more undulating terrain, having a little bit of up and down, that saves your legs whether you're walking or climbing. And then obviously on your when you're on a bike, it makes the trail a little bit more interesting. It's not just to make jumps and stuff like that for the mountain bikers. It's also it takes some of the stress off as you're walking up.
Notice water bar is not on the sheet. There's a reason for that.
And yeah, so that's just, you know, some of those terms that you see and things that you see. I mean, these trails have been built for over a long period of time. This is a more modern trail design, and trying to get away from the water bars being the primary way to get water off the trail, because they just end up becoming constant maintenance issues, and you want to make it a little bit more maintenance free. It's really hard to flop soil over, compact it to a point that it's going to stay where it is. But that mineral soil will take off, and we pretty much won't use it. So you just broadcast it out and about, so that way it's just not in the way, and it doesn't look like, we don't want to make, and we don't want to leave it right on the downhill edge of the trail, because just like Ryan was saying, water doesn't flow uphill very well. That basically what it does is it creates a pseudo water bar parallel to the trail, and then it just keeps the water on the trail instead of letting it sheet flow. Sheet flow is another term we use quite a bit.
That's up here. Outslope is kind of what he's mostly referring to. If you have a trail with a little outslope, so water will fall off of it. If you pile all that duff and organic material on the outside or the downhill side of it, you just create a dam. And so now you're literally just forced, no matter how many grade reversals you got, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So that's something to be really cognizant of. And if you look at some of the drainage things, like the nicks on here, same sort of idea, where that's more if you have a existing trail that's having some issues, you get some puddling. A nick is a good way to mitigate that, or if you mess up and pile all your stuff on the downhill side, a nick type shape is what you would end up having to do to fix that. With all that stuff, drainage and nicks and grade reversals and tread width, bench cuts, my rule is ×2 plus 30% gets you halfway there. I've never done anything where it was too big. So in terms of a nick, you're cutting drainage, or if you're trying to get tread built, cutting a bench, every time you start, you think you're doing enough. ×2 plus 30% is halfway there. So that's something we'll go over a lot, because that's the biggest tendency that I see. That's kind of the main point of today in a lot of ways, is to understand what that end product should look like, and kind of get close to that the first go around. I mean, nothing's going to be perfect the first time. Trails are always evolving and shaping, and that's why we're out here to tweak them and tune them. I think we're about ready to walk.
So,
real quick, this is Nate and Ashley. If anyone doesn't know them, say hi.
Hi.
You guys got any dates anyone should know about coming up? Events or anything along those
For
lines?
our event, yeah, we got the X-Checker Extravaganza. It's going to be a
2-day event out at Exchequer Mountain Bike Park. Have you guys been out there?
Gonna be racing
Yeah,
it.
you registered for that, aren't you?
April 17th and 18th. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Awesome.
April 17th and 18th. So day 1's going to be a cross-country time trial. So COVID safe, everyone's starting one at a time. And day 2 is going to be a enduro, 4-stage enduro if you're racing expert and pro.
Yep.
And all the trails out there. Should be pretty fun.
Is it Merced? Where is that?
Yeah, Merced. So it's on the waters of the Yosemite.
Yeah, we're not like a business or anything. We just decided to put on a race for fun.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Okay.
So we love it out there.
Awesome.
We decided to do it. So.
Well, that's Bike Some on YouTube. And
Yeah, I'm from Napa area, so Napa Valley.
Seen your videos yet.
Yeah.
Sweet. You guys will be good guys to know. That'll be interesting. You're gonna document the race, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, whatever
Yeah,
happens,
that'd be
happens.
great.
So I gotta record it all.
Gotta have the winning run.
The winning run. There we
So
go.
there's like
Thank you, Joe.
I'd say everybody just kind of grab some tools and out. If you're carrying clouds, trying to carry them with the
20 inch
teeth
down.
down.
Do it. All right. And we're off. Make some trail.
Ideally, this might have come around, done an actual uphill.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
so the omega shape is kind of what you're
that
referring
omega
to.
shape, same
Yeah.
thing here. This is a little bit more of a water bar than a grade reversal.
Mm-hmm.
But what is good is this is a little bit more of a nick, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Where you make that wide.
Yeah.
Instead of a lot of times when you go, you'll see people don't dig just a trench in a bunch of places across the trail, thinking that that's going to be the way to get the water off the trail, because it just fills up with sediment pretty quick. You want to kind of make those broad, wide spots for the water.
And that gives you something to do when you're riding over too.
Yeah,
So.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was amazing to me is the time we came out, just how quick this can all come together. You know, it's like obviously the planning, not the planning side, but like with 20 people up top and 22 people down below, you can create a whole trail in a day. And then there's fine tuning. But
Yeah.
just seeing what the damage of a cloud can do is impressive. I was like, I didn't know, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, having the right formula too, and
Yeah. There's a science behind it that I really want to understand. One day I'm gonna really try to build something nice. And like, just cutting is one thing, but knowing how to manage the water flow to keep the trail looking good for a long time is a different thing.
right.
Corner, you see just as far as you can see right there, that low spot where the trail's coming in, then it comes uphill, then down again, right where these flags are, right before a corner. So if you just picture, this is a small hill, but if this was a big hill, any water coming down off during a rain event, that's going to hit this trail. Like there's 2 spots right there where it has to leave and can't carry on. Now granted, this isn't a downhill trail, so it's pretty flat right here in Traversy, but even if that thing was tilted 20 degrees and it was a downhill trail, the same rule would apply. It would just be more exaggerated. So just learning to look at those features and see them when you're building, or even if you're trying to troubleshoot an existing trail that has problems, where you would want to put in drainage, where you would want to get the water off, like all those same rules apply and are super important to be able to identify if you're working existing trail or building new stuff.
Just gonna take a moment and look at these views. This is absolutely beautiful. So ideally, like after this turn here, this could have maybe gone up just a tad.
Correct. Yeah, and it wouldn't take much. I mean, like 4 feet up the hill, just a little whoop.
Right, just like right into here a little bit.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff with the flagging that we'll look at, you can see how you would kind of plan for that as you flag things. But even then, like by the time you cut it, sometimes you just gotta
Deal with what you got.
rewind or deal with it, or
Yeah.
rework, whatever.
Yeah.
This is where you really start tweaking and tuning. I would be fine if you guys wanted to play with these flags and kind of route it yourself, just keeping it the basic idea and try to put in some of the grade reversals and things we talked about. Already a natural drainage where we want it to kind of come down and work its way back up just a little bit. As you come into that corner, that big sweeping right-hander, as we're going downhill, you've got to anticipate water flowing down it, so just trying to keep water off the trail at that point. It's a lot easier to move flags around than earth. Want to try to play around, and y'all can just move some flags and give it a shot? See what? Okay. Don't be shy.
I like it.
Ew.
Yeah,
Oak? And that's oak right there, right next to you.
Yeah, especially.
Yep, anything that has little vines with little red leaves, deathly poisonous.
Like, super allergic to it too.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, up just a little bit, like a foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then kind of make a line with the next two coming to that one. Coming to this one.
Like, I guess,
Now I'm thinking. Not here. Just create just a little bit of a reversal. I don't know.
okay.
Kind of what I was.
No, just
There
kind
you
of
go.
move it around and then step back, look, peek, tune.
And then you slowly kind of bring it back out.
And then kind of, yeah. So drop down and then kind of up.
So that way you've got that natural, okay.
And like you said, aiming for kind of that omega shape.
Yeah,
So
you've got
and
that.
for bikes, what that ends up doing too, if you got a grade reversal, one, you're getting water off the trail before the turn. Two, you're slowing down automatically with gravity, so you don't end up with all the braking bumps, people skidding off under the bushes,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. I'm personally not a big fan of flow trails, but like that's how those are all built to naturally kind of slow you down and to let you do that sort of stuff without even trying.
Yeah.
So it's got like multiple reasons for it there.
Okay. Well, I want to know, man, the science of the build. That's sweet. Okay. I kind of want to see this. Come up.
Yeah, well, that'll happen on its own, whether we build it
Yeah.
or not. So that's one of the benefits of just having grass there. But you can see too right here, there's a natural kind of nick that's going to pull water down into the lowest spot.
Straight down,
Mhm.
like right through here.
If we end up with 20 feet of kind of muddy trail, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. You got to cross.
Yeah,
it.
exactly where he's
Like,
standing.
That's going to flow right through.
Is where that's starting
Yeah.
to fall. Yeah.
Once you're up here, you're in pretty good shape because it's just gonna, the water's gonna go down there anyways, and then it's
Yeah.
a trail from here on out.
Exactly, and right
Yeah.
where you're exactly where you're standing, any trail that goes through there, we would want to probably dig a little low
Yeah.
to make a little bit of a dip, so that way it's not going to carry on to where these folks are standing.
So yeah.
So these could be maybe a little higher.
Yep. When you step back to look at the stuff, do it from both directions. You know, it's got to make sense both ways.
Yeah, up and down. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Are you filming or are we all doing?
You're planning on high side being the flag line.
Just kind of tilling the earth just below it.
Yeah, this is all the duff, the organic nonsense we don't want. Then with the different, depending on the soil, yeah, see, this is super soft.
So it's just deeper, closer to the flag.
Yep.
Very organic soil.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Dark chocolate.
So they sell at
That's
Whole
pretty
Foods.
dirt.
Anybody else like to smell dirt, or is it only me?
No, I do.
I think that's
I like the smell.
pregnant women, right?
Congrats.
Not for me,
Craven
though.
iron or something.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Prophetic.
You better sit this one out.
I'll just watch you guys do all the work. I'll take photos.
Cutting in. Do we need to be concerned with the slope here? Is it, could it be a hard cut, or is like that like a, does it matter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes and no. You don't need to worry about it right now, but you don't want it to be
Straight up.
You don't want to be straight up and down. The pamphlet illustrates it 45-ish.
45-ish,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
Water ends up, if it's coming down, starts eroding if it's straight.
Sure.
You know,
okay.
if you look
Yep,
at highways, you know, it's never a straight wall
Yep.
Yeah.
for the same kind of reasons.
Okay.
And if it's really loose material, you want it to be wet, because then the angle of repose is usually just going to keep falling on the trail.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah, and then it starts washing stuff down, then you
Yeah.
end up with sediment and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
But when you're first cutting, depending on, you know, side slope and how it's going, you can end up coming in and having a straight wall. You know, if you're trying to establish where,
Some depth.
where
Yeah.
the tread is,
Yeah.
and the tread, you know, is defined as just your trail surface. So if you're cutting trail just like that, the whole way down, fine.
Yeah.
Come back and carve it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
These are good for that. In terms of a work crew, it's good to have an assembly line where you can have someone kind of
Come behind and finish that.
do that. I really like these for that.
And that just rounded it off a bit, so it wasn't just a wall.
Yeah, those things just start excavating quick, and then your next person would come through and, you know, rake to polish it up and smooth it out. That's a quick demo.
Okay.
Just to give you the idea. We don't have the most side slope on this little section, but like right through here is fairly steep.
Yeah, it gets a little steeper as we go.
Yeah, it'll definitely be enough to look at and
People will definitely ride that too.
tweak and tune.
Yep.
Yeah.
Optional
So
berm.
without further ado,
Okay.
start sweating.
All
We
right.
start from here then and kind
Yeah, I
of work
would
our
just
way?
start basically from the
Okay.
creek and just
Okay. Cool.
move along. Totally get to that as time goes.
Yeah, there
It's
are.
more of a side hill, so I wanted to start there to like, it's a better demo of bench cutting. Was the only reason for that.
I took my vest off.
There's an extra massage here, Jake. You want to?
Okay.
I'm in it for the fame. That's it. Total self-absorption. Constantly getting better at something, improving. Keep it fresh.
Big bulb on it.
You think they're gonna freak out if they're coming out faster?
I'm gonna start over here now.
How many guys do you have on a mountain bike one?
You got Dean, you got Sean and Don, and then you've got James, an ambassador, and then Ashley's an ambassador, and Tagonger, Brian, is also an ambassador. Then you got Max, and I think a couple other guys, but great group of people, you know, it's all about riding, you know. We're just spreading love, you know, spread NorCal love. Love it.
Close to starting to polish things up too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm definitely sweaty, gross, whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and walk through and basically kind of just show what's going down.
Behind the scenes, me actually working this time. Believe
Yeah.
it or not.
You might think he's just live streaming the whole time, but he's actually doing work.
Yeah.
I got the footage to prove it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, turn the camera off so I can stop working.
All right, we're gonna walk through here. It's actually looking like a trail. Gonna do a quick run through.
Not quite.
Hey, puppy. Oh, okay. Is it time to play? Yeah, you want to be on camera?
Oh yeah.
That's about as far as we've gotten. It's probably been about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't know. Time just kind of blends in. So do you have any quick tips of advice when you get working and just kind of get lost in the craft here?
Getting lost in the craft? Yeah, it's really a lot of
You're trying to...
tuning. Once you get the rough cut, come back and forth and just keep re-looking.
Yeah, because I noticed myself even just working at like one section for quite a while. And is it just better to kind of get yourself to move on and And
at some point there's diminishing returns. For
Yeah.
Sure. You know, but and for like today's purpose, like we're in the middle of a trail.
Yeah.
So the start and finish aren't there yet. So it doesn't have to be perfect today.
right, it's rough
You know what I
draft.
mean? Yeah. Today's whole purpose was kind of
Education.
practice and instruction. So we got more kind of leeway for error in that regard. And like I was just telling Aaron here,
Yeah.
if you're working on a section, for example, you got a whole section of trail.
Yeah.
Polish up 6 feet, make it perfect, and
Yeah.
that way you have an idea of the depth and the width and everything.
Of how the whole trail is going to
then
kind
you
of
can take
feel.
that 6-foot example and move it up and down.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Just so you get an idea
Yeah.
of how far into that hillside you need to be cutting to accomplish
Okay.
whatever the mission is of the day.
Right.
Which is always the struggle with bench cutting.
So you polish a little bit at a time. You see that that's the section that this is going to turn into, and then you move on from there, kind of.
I
And
think the purpose why I say that is you end up finishing 6 feet, so you feel good about what you're looking at. And then you can carry that pattern all the way up and down the hill versus kind of rough cutting the whole hillside.
exhausting yourself,
And
not
then
really.
coming back and making 6 final passes.
Yeah,
And redoing
right.
it 6 times completely.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And with a whole, if we had more of an assembly line, like a real work day,
Yeah.
that way you can show everybody like, hey, this is what the finished goal, finished
Right.
product needs to look like. Make everything else look like this.
Okay. Good points. Yeah. Very good. That's a happy face. Oh.
Example on the turn.
Uh-huh.
But like we were talking earlier with the omega shape and the grade reversals, you end up with a grade reversal there before your corner and one right after it. So that way any water coming down is forced off the trail.
And it's not just
before and
all
after the
funneling
turn.
down
Yeah,
and
exactly,
through.
Yeah. So if you end up with trail up here, you know, on the hill, coming down into your corner, it's gonna have to leave.
Okay.
And it was the basic point of trying to lay this out that way.
Right. Exactly. So then you come up a little bit before making that turn.
Yeah, and like how I was saying earlier with the you always want your corner to descend into a drainage. Like obviously there's your drainage, your low point. So any water, assuming like just pretend there's a river flowing down this right now.
Yep.
Which will happen in a rain event. There's no way for water to come uphill onto our trail.
Exactly.
It only takes a few people to like kind of start directing the rest of the people to really
Yep.
help with that. Then you know what I mean?
That's huge. Yeah. Because then you don't have to be everywhere at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Drive a couple weeks here, so.
Yeah. If only they knew that time was of the essence.
There's that.
This site's noticeably dry.
We're just about wrapping up here, so I'm going to go ahead and show you most of the progress that we've made today. Joe's going to keep digging and working because he's just motivated to heck. He does not want to see this thing end. So basically I'll just start from what we've accomplished and run you through. Well, we're wrapping up a very successful day. And they just told us, I didn't expect this, but we're gonna get to put the fresh tracks down on this trail. So, inaugural tracks.
Jay, you'll be the first person to ever ride this trail. And I'm not sure it has a name yet, but if it doesn't, I'm gonna call it Bike Some Trail.
No. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Oh man.
I did some shooting out here a few weeks ago when we cut that trail over there. And then he's gonna record today, but I really just kind of like, I want to drive home that people can come out here and do this, you know, like it's one of the best things.
Well, you know, it's really nice that, you know, the ARC board and staff it's like it's outdoors, it's during the pandemic.
Yeah.
People have been pretty good about like trying to keep their distance and, you know, just for mental health.
Yeah.
It's just great to be out here and yeah, it's nice to be able to actually do something.
Yeah.
I talk about like, it's a great opportunity to meet new riders and make new friends and cut in a trail. It's super
like
good.
600 acres and it's not like super radical, but you know, it's a good workout and it's close to other trails.
It's super nice.
Heck yeah. Oh man, I'm beyond stoked. I did not expect to ride this thing today. I was just thinking we'd show up, dig, and leave. I'm gonna let you lead it, bud.
No, you gotta go first.
No. I'm not selfish.
Okay, well, I don't want to run into anybody. Are we clear?
All right, bud.
Ready?
Yeah, you lead the way.
Find out what gear I'm in. From the past to future trail, what you should call this ride. I'll be the first person ever crashed.
Oh yeah, I can see him. Joe tracks.
Like that?
Yeah. You. Stay high.
Got it?
All right, look at that. Oh, it's official.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. What a way to end a trail day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. What a day. See you guys later.
Huge thank you to FATRAC and ARC. Thanks for watching, everybody.